Hi everyone. So I posted this Lapbook box of mine on Instagram, and I got some requests to do a tutorial on how I made this lapbook. I'm calling this a Lapbook box for junk journal ephemera, and you'll see why once I open it up. It's very simple, it's very thick, okay, and this is why it's called a Lapbook box, because inside it has these boxes where I would keep my junk journal ephemera. So this side of my lapbook would be for the raw material, okay, where I would put my old book papers inside this one, my cutouts inside of this one. This box here is perfectly sized for tags, and this one here just for those little bits and pieces of paper that we don't throw away. So that would be this side. And then on this side here would be for the finished product. So here would go my decorative pages, the old book pages already decorated. This would be for the ephemera that I would have already made with the, the lace and the pictures and those lovely little things will go in here. This would be for my tags, the already decorated tags, not the raw material tags, but the one that has some kind of decorations. And I left this space with no boxes because I want to put my altered clips, my altered paper clips in here. So I did not put a little flap on this little flap here. I didn't put it over here because I thought, well, my embellishments are quite big and it couldn't go lower because my tags will come up to here. So I left it open. And it would look nice even if, they come out here. It'll look nice, it'll look pretty. And then in the middle, of course, I have my elastic band. I think we can call this an elastic band. It's like that little piece of thread that you find in your materials shop. And this is to put the actual junk journal in, okay, or the signature, all right? So I got some requests to do a tutorial on my Lapbook box, so that's what I'll be doing. I will try to make this as quickly and short as possible and very simple. There's not much detail to it, so it's not like a mini album, but I will try to make it short as possible. Please bear in mind that I am home with my two boys, so sometimes they'll come running inside and speaking to me and asking me questions and maybe screaming. Please just ignore them. I will try to pause the video when that happens, but if I can't, if I'm not fast enough, well, I do apologize. So let's start. What will you be needing to do the base? Okay, the base would be just this part here. Okay, this part here. So what will you be needing? You will need chipboard pieces, 3 chipboard pieces. Okay. You'll need one for the spine and front cover and back cover. If you do not have chipboard, or if you can't get chipboard that quickly and you like recycling at home, which is what I love doing, cereal boxes will work great. Okay, all you need to just bear in mind is the spine. This would be your spine, so the thicker you want your spine, the thicker you need your cereal box, or the bigger your cereal box. This one is a little bit thinner. I wouldn't advise thinner than 4 centimeters. All right, this is 5 centimeters, so 4 centimeters would be less than 2 inches. Okay, so 1.5 inches max or minimum, should I say? No smaller than 1.5 inches. Okay, and the ideal would be really 2 inches. Okay, which is actually the size of this one. Yeah, 5 centimeters. I will try to give you the measurements in centimeters and in inches, because I know the Americans work in inches and the English work in centimeters. I work in centimeters, so if I do some mistakes in working these things out, just bear with me, please. Okay, so basically, if you're working with the cereal box, all you will need to do is just keep this part, and that part, and the rest you just take out. So you take out this. You don't need this, you don't need this spine, and of course you don't need these, all right? And you just keep, well, with that part that looks like a book, okay? And of course, if you're taking it apart, you do have the binding in here, where they glue the box together. That is where you will that is where you will dismantle your box, if I'm saying the words right. Please bear with my English. I haven't been in Portugal for 26 years, so my English is a little bit rusty. Okay, so, and with the smaller cereal box, the same. And the thing is, with the cereal boxes, you can make it bigger or smaller. Of course, with this cereal box, I would have to make this size. Okay, my Lapbook box would be this size. But with the bigger cereal boxes, you can make it bigger, smaller, and you can cut it to size. Alright, so you can cut to size up in height and of course in length. So this is a good option if you like to recycle. To cover the cereal boxes or the chipboard, I will be working with chipboard for now. If you want to cover your cereal box or chipboard, you can use scrapbook paper or you can use simple cardstock. Alright, you can use different colors, whatever. I will be using scrapbook paper for now, but with this with this lapbook, I did use cardstock. I used the black cardstock, and then what I did was I just collaged it all the way around. Okay, that you can do as well. For video purpose, I will be doing the scrapbook paper. It's a little bit quicker, just because I don't have to decorate the cover with you. Okay, and if you're using the chipboard pieces, it's a little bit more complicated, but if you're using the cereal boxes, it's just basically collaging. Okay, you just glue the cereal box, put glue on the cereal box, and just start covering your cereal, your box. You will leave exactly the same amount of scrapbook paper to fold it back in, and you will know what I'm talking about in a moment when I start doing these. Okay, so the sizes that I'm doing with this lapbook, it's a little bit smaller than my original lapbook. The original lapbook is slightly taller and larger. Okay, so it's larger. I won't need a bigger, well, since I am making another one for you for this tutorial, I won't be doing a bigger one. I think I will just be doing one for my my old book pages. I have a lot of those. So this one will be just for my lapbook pages. And this one measures, let's do this in centimeters, 17 centimeters by 25. And in inches, that would be 6.5, a little bit more, and almost 10 inches, so roughly. And my spine is just over 2 inches, 5 centimeters and a half. Okay, and the spine would be just 2 inches exactly and 5 centimeters exactly. All right, so what I'm doing here, this one is, go centimeters first, 15 centimeters by 22, and in inches, let me see if I can let me see if I can say this properly. 5 inches and, I don't know, hold on, 1, 2, 3, I need to count these. It's just below, it's 2 lines below the 6. How on earth do they say this? I need to learn my inches. Sorry. And then, so it's just below the 6 inches, and it is just above the 8.5 inches. All right. So work out the centimeters, please. Please, girls. I cannot do these conversions very well. Sorry about that. So let's start. What we will need to do is, I'm going to have this as my cover. So this will be under this part here. All right, so let's just get that under there. Basically what we do is we leave a nice big margin on here. I know this is white against white, can't see very well, but you leave a nice big margin, at least 2 centimeters, and that would be an inch. Okay, an inch is a good margin to leave on each side. Okay, just eyeball it. You don't really need to measure here. Just use your eyeball. Okay, now we just glue I'm using liquid glue or tacky glue because it's a little bit quicker than me using the double-sided tape, but you can of course use double-sided tape if you prefer. Any double-sided tape will do. You can smear this. I won't have time for that. So I will just be doing it like this. Okay, I just eyeballed that, but it'll all do. And then next is the spine. This little piece here, that we just glue it up as well. Don't put too much. If you're using your liquid glue, don't put too much, because it will make your paper quite humid and it will go all wonky and donkey. So try and just do like a strand of hair. Now this is a very important part. When you're gluing this part down, you need to leave at least ½ centimeter. Okay, and ½ centimeter, yeah, ½ centimeter. I just eyeballed that and it was ½ centimeter. And in inches, now how on earth would you say that? So that's 1, 2, 3. It's on the third line. So what would that be? 1 2/16? I think I just said it right. Did I say that right? It's on the third line, the third small line. Anyway, so work it out. ½ centimeter. All right. Distance. And when you glue this one down, exactly the same, ½ centimeter. Or if you used 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter here. If whatever size you used here, try to do the same there. And I know we're eyeballing this, so it's quite all right. Now, what I like doing, of course, my 12 by 12 piece of paper is not big enough to cover this one up, so I join the two, and that's what I'll be doing now. And I like joining it with double-sided tape, right? And I just put it on the edge, bring it all the way down. Don't forget to just varnish your score tape. It'll just make it a lot more easier to take this little thing out. And then you will just place your other paper on top of that. And if you're working with cardstock as well, it's exactly the same. So now I'm ready to put this one down because I have lots of paper. Alright, so let's just glue this one down. And tacky glue is pretty strong, so you really don't need to put a whole lot. So now I am eyeballing it. And don't be worried if your paper is doing this, or your cardstock, no, not your cardstock, your, what's this called, the chipboard is doing that. Okay, if you kind of did it skew. When you pull this part in, okay, it'll all level out, so it's quite alright. It's not a very big problem. All you need to know, all you need to really concentrate on is that this must be as aligned as possible. If you want, you can use a ruler. When you glue them down, you can use a ruler and just, push them down on the ruler and they will go nice and straight. Okay, so that's the only thing that needs to be aligned is these parts here. Okay, so now these are glued down. I will just chop the excess off on this part on the side here. Okay, so just cut that part off and I have this now. Okay, basically that will be my front, spine and my back. Okay, so now we will get the scissors and we will just need to cut, let's see if I can show you like this. We need to cut little triangles out of the corners right here. Now the most important thing that you need to know here is when you're cutting the triangle, leave, see the size of the scissors there? Oops, sorry there. The size of the scissors, that's about the space you need to cut away from this little corner here. Okay, I'm just going to eyeball it. They don't need to be perfect triangles, not that much. Okay, you see, don't cut right up to the edge of the little pointy thing there. Okay, so you do not need to cut triangles all the same. Oh, I need to cut that part here because that's a little too big. I've got maybe 3 inches there. So let me just cut this whole part here. Just leave it that inch. I'll be back. Okay, so I am back. I did cut the excess off over here. So now we do that on all 4 corners. Just cut the triangles out, keeping away from the point of our chipboard, the little corner there. Alright, so no triangles are exactly the same because I just did eyeball it. Okay, so now what I like to do before putting any glue, or I like to straighten it out. This is the part where if we did do the skew thing, okay, this is where it will all straighten out. So what we do is we just press this part here against the table and bring it up here. We're not working on this part, we're working on this part here, so try not to bend this part here, try not to fold in this one, we're working on this one here. Okay, so just bend that in and until it makes a score there. Okay, so you see bending down here and bring it all the way, and then you can score it there, or not score it, but just do the fold, and that would be nice and straight because we used the table. Okay, let me do the same thing on this one here. We press it on the table. You can see I'm pressing it on the table. Okay, and bring it all the way down, and then just fold. Okay, now do the same on these ones here, just because it's easier to make the fold. All right. Okay, so we've got the folds, or we've got the score lines made to cover up any mistakes of the wonky that we have here. Now for this, I like using double-sided tape and tacky glue. So I will be using my thicker or wider double-sided tape to put this. Now what you do is you put the double-sided tape as far on the edge as possible. You don't need to put it right next to the chipboard unless it's so thick it really touches the chipboard, but that's all right. But you need to, it needs to at least touch this edge up here. All right, and I've already cut my double-sided tape in like a, well, with the slanty thing, because it goes with that slanty thing. Okay, you get what I'm saying, don't you? Please do. I hope you understand me. And here you either tear it or you cut it. I like cutting it because it will make that slanty thing again. Okay, there we go. And use the slanty thing to line up with the other side. You can use any side, alright. Now you see I cut the excess off on this one a little too much, so this will be really on top of my chipboard almost. But that's alright, as long as it's really on this edge here. So we will go from side to, or corner to corner, and of course we will need to put double-sided tape on this one as well. All four corners will need, all four flaps, let's call them that way, will need double-sided tape. Okay, now this one, I'll cut it this way. Now, very important, back your scissors or your bone folder, whatever you have in hand, and just press on that double-sided tape. What this does is it helps it stick better, and then when you try to take the backing off, it'll just be so much easier. So now you just take the backing off. I like doing these larger ones first, but you can do these ones first, as long as you do the parallel sides first. So either start with these ones first or these ones first. All right, I like starting with the big ones, and then do not do this. All right, do the same thing we did just now. Wait a moment. Okay, we did this to fold to do our score lines. We will do this to glue our glue, and I forgot to put my tacky glue. All right, never mind, that's quite all right. You can put tacky glue now when you take the thingy off. I just forgot. I just like using both, it's just a little bit stronger. So that back end's off, and I'll just put some tacky glue and then fold that down. Okay, so that's down and that is down. Now, when you do the other parallel sides, very important, You see this part here that's just gone out of the chipboard, that needs to be pressed down, and it's like you're pressing it against the chipboard to just do that little step. Okay, it's like a little step. If you don't do this and you fold it, this part will just stick out somehow. It'll just stick out and it'll be ugly. So we just do that little step, just push it right against your chipboard or your cereal box, and then you can fold it in. Do that on all the sides. All four sides need to do this little step. You can do this with a bone fold if you don't have nails. You can do this with your nails. You can do this with the back of your scissors, with a ruler, whatever you have in hand. So let's take the backing off these. There we go. And I forgot to put my tacky glue once again. Oh, never mind. It's the video. It's the video. It's not that much of a crisis. So now we have our book. Now, very important, before you'll have that tendency to fold it in, we must do something very important. You see these little bits here of the opening of our spine, the spaces between our spine, not between our spine, but on the edge of our spine. We need to put that in and in so that the white part will touch the scrapbooking part here. So you either have a scissors that's nice and thin that'll actually fit in there. Do I have a scissors that'll fit in there? Try not to use this, okay, because this is too sharp and it will cut. Let me see. Oh, the back of a pen sometimes will work. These parts of the pen are nice and round. What else could I use? A ruler. Careful with the ruler because it is sharp and you might just cut it. All right. Let me see. I like using the back of a pen. Here's a nice round thing. Round pen. So just lightly just make that groove. Okay. Make that groove in there. And what this will do is just, it will help the paper to go in there when we finally fold it up. Okay, because if you don't do that, this part, because it's not glued onto anything, it might just pop up and it'll not look nice. So here we have already our book, right? Something that looks or resembles a book. So, and if you would be using a ruler, it would just be in, you would align it with this chipboard and then just bring it in. Okay, just bring the paper in lightly and very nicely and then very delicately so that it doesn't tear. Okay, if you'd be using the back part of the scissors, it's the same thing. Okay, anyway, a lot of things we can use. So now we have the base done. Now, what I like doing is also covering up this chipboard part. What I do is I use 3 different pieces of chipboard, sorry, of cardstock or scrapbook paper. You can use one whole piece. Yes, that's not a mistake, that's not an error. But what happens is, because there is so much paper and we are basically shrinking it, it will bulge up. And I don't like how that looks. And even if you put loads of glue, or I've noticed in my albums before, when I put loads of glue, even if I put loads of glue, the strength of the paper will be in such a way that it will pop up and it will unglue and will always make those air bubbles or pop up. Okay, so I like using 3 separate pieces just to cover this ugly part up. And I will go find those 3 pieces and I will be back. Alright, I'm back with these little bits and bobs. This one I will be using for the spine, and I can use like this or like this. I think I'll be using it like this. Okay, so what I do is I don't eyeball this one, but I measured without a ruler. Turn it around, and here I like to leave a little margin just to see that, you know, the paper I have on my cover. If you're using cardstock, this is so indifferent, it won't matter, but 1 centimeter you can leave, and 1 centimeter is about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, you can always leave. It's a good margin. You can leave less, more, as long as you don't see this ugly chipboard part here. So what I do is I just measure from there to the edge of where the chipboard ends. Okay, and then of course I measure upwards, and I leave that 1 centimeter here and that 1 centimeter there, and I just measure. So that's where I'll be cutting. I'll be cutting here and here. and I'll be just doing as well the spine. The spine will be measured from one edge right to the other edge. Okay, so it really covers everything up. And when I cut this part here, I will be cutting exactly the same. Well, I'll be cutting all 3 pages exactly the same as this one, and all together, so that it will all be the same height. Okay, I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Let me just measure this one up. Again, from this edge of this chipboard piece here, edge of it to about, leave 1 centimeter. Okay, so now I will join. This is my first page that was over here. Then I have this, the height. Okay, I have the height measured over here on this one. So I will be cutting on my cutting thing, my guillotine. I will cut this one first so that they all have exactly the same height. Okay, I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so I have cut all of them at the same time to do the height. Okay, and now I'll be cutting them where I measured this way. Okay, so I have cut them all down to size, and I think that's how I will be. Okay, that's how I'll be doing it. Can't overthink this. Make a quick video. So now this is just the part where you glue this down as well, and keep in mind that you need to glue it right against, this one will go right against this part, so we don't see any part of that ugly cardstock or the chipboard or the cereal box, whatever you're using. So you can use tacky glue, you can use double-sided sticky tape as well, you can use both, whatever you are more handy with, whatever you have in your scrap supplies. So that will go right against, let me take this one out, sorry, that will go right against the chipboard here, and of course keep an eye on those, on that 1 centimeter margin, so that you're not too high or too low, and then just press it down and glue. How good does that look? And then you do the same with all the other 3 pieces. Line that one with, line this one with that one already, that you've already glued down. So that one's a little higher than the other. So it looks nice and even. Makes it look pretty. I mean, if it's skew, oh, don't worry. This is not an art for perfectionists. Do I keep telling everyone? So, same thing. Cover that ugly chipboard. And line it up there, and we have the 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. I'm such a good eyeballer. Press that down nicely, and we have our book made. Well, not the whole thing, but just the part. So this would be part 1 of our tutorial. Okay, just to make this cover of our lap book, and I will go and prepare the other materials to make the rest of it. Alright, so I'll be back soon with part 2.